Good evening, good morning, or good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. We'd like to present to you two articles of interest. And before I do that, I would like to let you know that this is for review, informational, and educational purposes. It's not to take the credit for the intellectual property of the article. The full credit to the intellectual property of the article goes to the publisher, which in this case is The Verge, and the story by Jess Weatherbed. Headline reads, Sony's making a handheld console to compete with Nintendo and Microsoft. So this should get quite interesting. Now ahead of us is the said console that they're referring to. It looks pretty amazing. The screen looks really good. I'm not sure about how it feels with the buttons, but the curvature looks good on the ergonomics looks really good on your hand, so that looks good. Excuse me. As you can see right here, it's curved. Caption reads, a new console will build on the PlayStation's Portable, pictured, which was reportedly originally intended to work as a standalone device. Copyright photo by Antonio Di Benedetto / The Verge. Sony is currently making a new handheld game console that allows users to play PlayStation 5 games anywhere. According to Bloomberg, the console was developed to compete against Nintendo and Microsoft in the portable game market and is likely years away from launch if Sony decides to release it at all. Nintendo is a leading figure in the handheld gaming industry with a next-generation successor to its popular Switch console, expected to arrive next year. That is expected to arrive next year. Microsoft is also developing its own handheld Xbox prototype, although Microsoft gaming CEO Phil Spencer has recently cautioned that the device is, quote, a few years out, unquote. The handheld gaming category has also benefited from the PC platform expansion in recent years thanks to new players like Valve's Steam Deck and ROG Ally lineup from Asus. Sony's efforts to not be left behind would build on the PlayStation Portable. The 8-inch gaming device it released last year which wirelessly streams PS5 games from the cloud, but according to Bloomberg was originally meant to function as a standalone device, which I think old school gamers such as myself would prefer that. So I won't deny the fact that I think it's theoretically better to have something standalone. That way you don't have to have access to the internet. But we'll have to see how that goes. The new device would also allow games to be played natively rather than over Wi-Fi, potentially expanding Sony's audience and making its games more accessible. This isn't completely new territory for Sony, having previously released portable gaming consoles like the PS Vita and PlayStation Portable. But these have long-term since been discontinued. Excuse me. If you go in gaming shops that have older stuff, you'll be able to find it. Now, I think the idea with being able to run it or play it from the cloud is that it doesn't take up as much space on the count of the console itself. So it's very much plus and minus for sure. This isn't completely new territory for Sony, who has previously released portable game consoles such as the PS Vita and the PlayStation Portable, but these have been long since discontinued, as they said. The article may contain affiliate links from Microsoft and or the publisher may receive a commission from you if you buy a product or a service through those links. So just as a heads up, which I think is completely fair and unethical as long as they're straightforward about it, as long as they're honest about it. I don't see anything wrong with somebody getting paid to do a service such as, selling a product, referring, like basically referral sales where you refer a product to be sold, and so you refer a product to somebody else, they buy it, and then the the owner of the product pays you a commission. That's what they call affiliate links, just so you know. Excuse me. Grab some water. I think they're going back. I think there is a demographic of people. I think what happened was some of the newer stuff kind of didn't interest the old school gamers, and now a lot of the gamers want to go back to the old way of gaming, just with sharper graphics, better graphics and better storage, as in more storage. Yes. So anyway, just my 2 cents on the matter. Excuse me. Let's go to our second and final article of the review. And as usual, I would like to let you know that this is for review, informational and educational purposes. It's not to take the credit for the intellectual property of the article. The full credit to the intellectual property of the article goes to the publisher, which in this case is Screen Rant, and the story by Stephen Howard. Caption reads, 20 years on, Nintendo DS is still the company's most revolutionary console. So if you remember, they had pretty much like 2 screens, and one was a touch screen, and then they had another one that was like 3D. I think you have like 3D glasses or something, you can see it. Well, certainly no console had like 2 screens. I'll show you in a moment what that is, but let me tell you more about it first. The Nintendo DS remains one of Nintendo's greatest accomplishments to date. From its launch in 2004, the DS saw an unbelievable success that led to the device becoming Nintendo's best-selling console of all time. Its reception further cemented Nintendo's status as the champion of portable gaming industry at a time when the primary handheld competitor, which is Sony's PlayStation Portable, struggled to make huge waves. 20 years from its debut, the DS is just as relevant as ever. Not only was the console a great success at the time, but the DS was the catalyst that resulted in a seismic shift from Nintendo and gaming in general. The DS stood as a revolutionary console that was completely different from what other consoles offered at the time, while heavily influencing Nintendo's approach to hardware and software development moving forward. The DS was unlike any console at the time. The new features changed how players approached a game. Notice we have you have one screen here and we have a second screen here. And you would interact with this, I think you called it, is it a stylus? Or touch screen pen? I'm trying to remember the name of the exact term, but anyway, this is what we're referring to. Caption reads, Nintendo DS, a system on the black and red background. Before the DS was unveiled to the world, it was safe to say the market had been accustomed to a certain playstyle. Consoles at the time, such as the PlayStation 2, GameCube, and Xbox, had a very similar approach to controls, relatively standardized button layouts. The result meant it was very easy for players to move across each console with ease, though none of them prioritized anything especially different or unique to stand out from competitors. And here you see some iconic characters. So you might see the first one, that's Mario from Super Mario Brothers. That looks, I think this is, okay, yeah, that's Metroid Prime. And this is Resident Evil 4. So the first Resident Evil, as far as I know, was on the PlayStation 1 console. And I actually do remember that from the mid to late 90s. The GameCube is home to an extraordinary library of games, and all of the best titles are still worth seeking out and playing today. The DS broke new ground on completely changing how the player was expected to interact with the game. The implementation of the dual screen could initially seem daunting, as it means far more could happen with the game at any single time for the player to focus on. Yet the use of two screens made it more engaging experiences on the DS. As the player become more aware of their surroundings, managing many elements to play them become too overwhelming. Excuse me. In a related video, Sony rumored to be working on handheld console to compete with Nintendo Switch, as per Cover News India. You'll be able to access this video upon publishing of this review, but only from the links on my Rumble channel, simply because YouTube does not allow links to articles in the YouTube comment section. So what I'll do is, as I will have this both uploaded to YouTube and Rumble, in the YouTube comment section I'll have the name of my Rumble channel, and I'll have the link to my Rumble channel. But the link to the actual article won't be in the YouTube comment section. But when you go to my Rumble channel, it will be in my comment section there, and of course you can copy and paste it, put in the URL bar, and you'll be able to go to this actual article and then watch a video accordingly. Meanwhile, the DS's touchscreen completely upended the type of gameplay players had to come to expect. The touchscreen added another level of interaction between the player and the game thanks to the fluid, multifaceted actions it provided. This implementation only allowed for more diverse and unique experiences on the DS, as there were limitless possibilities on how each game on the system would be played, making the console the most versatile and revolutionary product on the market at the time. It is clear that Nintendo was not content with DS simply being an upgraded version of a previous console, like the Game Boy Advance. The company wanted to change the fundamental understanding of the time, at the time of what a video console was capable of and the kind of gaming experience the player could enjoy. That unique approach to the DS would have certainly boosted its appeal at the time of release, contributing to the console's gargantuan success. The DS's best games took full advantage of the system. The library of titles appealed to a huge demographic. Well, ahead of you looks like somebody painted on or made a paint of or a drawing of a dog with sunglasses, kind of funny. And a single shot of Nintendo DS game, Nintendo Dogs, with a dog couching. Despite the addition's potentially complicated control for players, the DS was an intuitive and adaptable console. The touchscreen actually made for a more accessible console, as it proved incredibly simple and easy to get used to, meaning anybody was able to pick up and play with virtually no issues. As a matter of fact, the DS's most successful games took advantage of this simplicity, providing experiences that can be enjoyed by people who may not typically play video games, broadening the system's appeal. Yes, the idea of making money from consoles is having a larger demographic, and of course making the game more appealing and more, of course, intuitive and easy to play. So you see some artwork from Nintendo's games there, such as Legend of Link, which is this person here with the sword and the shield. Caption reads, art from the Animal Crossing and Wild Worlds, Zelda, Phantom Hourglass, and Dragon Quest IX, which I think is probably this one here. I did not play that game. I did play Zelda at one point. I think I played it on Nintendo, what they call the NES, which came out in the late 80s. The Nintendo DS library gave birth to a number of classics that the best games that it has to offer remain every bit as competitive today. The wildly successful Nintendo Dogs, for example, had the player use touchscreen to perform a multitude of tasks, including training and washing dogs on a regular basis. Meanwhile, Brain Age, Train Your Brain in Minutes a Day, offered a series of challenging puzzles that required minimal input from a player, either writing their answer on the touchscreen or speaking into the DS built-in microphone. That's a good one. I like that. Both games are hugely successful due to the simple and easy-to-learn control scheme that made each title accessible, further propelling the DS's success as a console for everybody. So that's what I'm saying. When you make a console, it needs to be intuitive and easy to use. Brain Age also made a clever use of the folding DS format with a vertical orientation that had people just hold the system like a book. Of course, Nintendo made sure that their signature franchises made appearance and took full advantage of the DS's new features. The most notable example comes from The Legend of Zelda, which made heavy use of the new controls with its new entries for the system, Phantom Hourglass and Spirit Tracks, similar to Nintendo and Brain Age. Both Zelda entries on the DS had players focus primarily on the touchscreen to control links to both traversal and combat, while also using both screens to either sail the seas or traverse an elaborate railway system. The unique control scheme made for the adventures that stood apart from the previous entries of the Zelda series, where they also bring simplistic enough to make either game perfect entry point into the franchise for more casual players. The DS was not only revolutionary for its accessibility and appeal, but also given well-known franchises such as Zelda the ability to reinvent themselves, making for more satisfying games as a result. So that's very interesting. Being adaptable and changeable is definitely an advantage. The DS would shape Nintendo's consoles going forward, or moving forward. Nintendo continues to push boundaries with each console. Ahead of you, see, that would be the Switch. Now they're coming up with a second Switch, but they have sort of like the in-between second Switch where they had better controls or something. I don't remember. And also with PlayStation, they had PS Vita, like the PlayStation Vita, and they had another one. So it's not incredibly clear what the value difference is. So basically, what it comes down to from a marketing standpoint and also from a practical standpoint is that you have to look at it from a customer's point of view. And the customer's point of view is, how is this a benefit to me? Keyword benefits. See, customers aren't interested in features, they're interested in benefits. Why? Excuse me. Because they want to know one question. How does it benefit me? Not how does it benefit the company. So when they do this, that's the marketing strategy, and that's the marketing mentality they have to have, is they have to understand things from the customer's point of view. So anyway, the caption, so you see that right here. This is like the holder, and I think you can plug it in, and this is the switch. Yeah, anyway. Caption reads, a Nintendo Switch on its dock, which I told you, this is the dock here. These are two controllers, and I think this is the screen, which you can close to protect the screen, I think. And the screen, I think, is actually the width of it, but this goes over on the side, I think, or something. It's no wonder the DS was a success during their lifetime. The console's deviation from the norm and to push it from a new innovative gaming experiences resulted in DS becoming a product that reached beyond the typical gaming sphere, giving consumers an accessible way to start their own gaming journey. However, one of DS's largest accomplishments is how it shaped Nintendo going forward, as later consoles would continue to push the boundaries of what is possible in gaming. The Wii's motion controls essentially serve as a similar purpose to the DS Touch system, offering a different yet fun and easy learn-to-control scheme that encouraged far more active input from the player. The 3DS's uses of stereoscopic 3D images gave developers more freedom to how perspective was used. In their game, as the peripheral gave the player the ability to see farther than they could in 2D, the Switch's own humongous, The Switch's own humongous success owed to its versatility and ability to be played in a number of ways, similar to what DS allowed with its own features. The DS isn't just the most popular handheld console of all time, it marks a crucial time in Nintendo's, because they were talking about the Xbox, yeah. It's a crucial time in Nintendo's history when the company work to make players reconsider how games are meant to be played and enjoyed. Nintendo has spent the last 20 years releasing groundbreaking consoles and games that have revolutionized the gaming industry as a whole. It all started with Nintendo DS. So that will do it for our second article of the review. I do want to get your opinion on the review. The first of specifically of the two articles. The first article being Sony's making a handheld console to compete with Nintendo and Microsoft, which is their Xbox. Second one is 20 years on, Nintendo DS is still the company's most revolutionary console. What do you think of those two articles? Are they interesting? Are they relevant to your life? And do they give enough information? You're welcome to give your opinion in the comments below. Just make sure that you keep it civil and productive, as we're only trying to add a positivity to the experience and not taking away with something negative, okay? Now, with that said, I would like to take this time to thank you for watching this video. You could be watching any other current events, science or technology, gaming review, but you watch mine, so I greatly appreciate it. Now, as this did provide value for you to be up to date with the news and see what's happening in the gaming industry, what I'd like you to do is please click like on the video. That way it'll be pushed through the algorithm and more people will be able to view it and enjoy it. If you haven't already, please click the subscribe button. That way I'll have access to all the content on my channel, as I certainly do have a variety of content on my channel for you to view and enjoy. Also, if you haven't already, please click the bell button. That way you'll be notified of all my future videos. So when one of my future videos comes out, you won't miss it because you'll be notified accordingly. So I'd like to wish you a great day wherever you are in the world. Take care, and I'll talk to you